We had a 5-0 day yesterday. It was a perfect day. I gave away 2 batter props. I gave away the Phillies, and then most importantly, they were asking me right on this live yesterday. Said, "Hey, I like the Rays," and luckily I had my notes and stuff. But the reason I skipped the Rays was because the line was shifting dramatically towards the Athletics, and it was. I said, you know what? You just cannot be forcing things. And sure enough, the Athletics won. So it's sometimes, all the time, I should say, all the time, it's better not to place a bet if there's too many question marks. And that was the Rays yesterday. And thankfully, we stayed away from that game. And sure enough, the Athletics won. So, anyways, it was a perfect day yesterday. I gave away 3 plays yesterday, and all 3 of them hit. So if you were here and you had them, congratulations. All right, here we go. All right, so this was the Phillies. Like I said, I took them at the money line. I actually said I was going to go with the -1, but I needed an extra person because I didn't have other batters. So I put them in with the Phillies money line. I took Yandy Diaz, and I was looking at it. I think he got a hit all the way at the end of the game, actually. So he came through. Sure enough, that was a hit. Then we had the Phillies -1, like I mentioned yesterday. I did not want to take them at the -1.5. That would have still hit, but I didn't want to risk it because of the OPS difference on the Padres. I explained all that yesterday. And we had Bobby Witt Jr. He got a hit. And then I had 2 under RBIs, which I put into the VIP. So that hit. That was also in the Discord, I believe. And then we had these under 1.5s. Now, these under 1.5s, I'm not going to explain them right now, but they're very good because we look at the Nerfies, no run first innings, and then we buy an extra run. So you can see, as long as they don't score, look how heavy this score was, 10-6, and then this one was 2-4 or 2-4. So 6 total scores, but they didn't score in the first inning. Okay, because we're looking at the pitchers. We're all, like I said, I'm not going to explain all this, but this has been decent for us as well. The under 1.5 RBIs. All right, so that's about it, guys. That's what we had yesterday. Perfect 5-0 day. I was running through some numbers here. We had a massive month. So overall, the month was very, very good. We had about 25 to 26 winning days, and we had about only 4 to 5 losing days. So those losing days, one of them was pretty heavy. It was like a 4-unit loss. But the overall picture, it was like 25 winning days. I'm going to pull up. I'm not going to put it right now because it's just the first of the month right now. But I know for sure it was like at least 25 winning days or 26 winning days. Once I have those numbers and the graph and all that, I'll put it. I'll post them. Right now, I'm going to look at three games. I'm pretty on the 3 games that I'm going to go with. I actually have 4 games I'm going to go through, but I really like 3 of them. And then the batter props, there's actually 9 of them. Let me screen again. So I have 9 batter props right here, but these all have been posted in the VIP. I'm not going to share them in here because I'm going to share the games. 2 of the props that I'm going to share are going to be inside the YouTube short. When the YouTube short drops, you'll see the two batter props. But let me get back into it now. All right, here we go. So the first, I have not these at all, but I'm very confident. I was looking at these very confident, and I'm just going to do them right now with you. So if I can confirm them right now, then I'm going to go with them. But like I said, I have not placed them yet. There is 4 right here. I'm not going to go through every little detail here, but I already have a lot of information on all these games. But I do really like 3 of them. Okay, so stick around for that. I'm going to go through them right now. So the first one we're looking at is the Rangers. You can see the Rangers, they have DeGrom, which is one of their ace pitchers. Let's see here. 2.08 ERA. Compare that to a 7.11 over here, which is very bad. So the 2 times this dude has started, he's lost. And his ERA is horrible. Like a 5.0 or worse is bad. This one is 2.08 with 94 strikeouts, 8 wins, 2 losses. This dude is very, very good. Okay. Again, now once the starters get out, then they have the bullpen. This is very important. It took me a long time to figure this stuff out for the bullpen stuff, but once I did, that's when I started winning a lot more because the bullpen is the backup. So let's say the starting pitcher is very, very good, but the backup sucks, right? So just think of the bullpen as the backup. So the bullpen for the Rangers is actually better than the Orioles. There is one slight indication about the Orioles that I don't like. Just like yesterday with the the Phillies and the Padres. It was the same scenario where it was the OPS or was the opposite team. So in this example today, the OPS over here, meaning the on-base percentage, the Orioles are actually number 1 right now in the last 7 games or 7 days. So the Orioles have been getting on base a lot, but they're still losing games. Rangers are, I believe, what is this, 12? So again, ranked first in baseball, ranked 12th in baseball to get on base. That doesn't mean they're winning games. That just means they're getting on base. So again, Orioles, that's a contradiction here, okay? So I almost stayed away from this game because of that. But I started looking deeper into this, like the starting pitcher, the line move. Look at the line move. It went from 182. It went all the way to minus 200. So they were favored heavily already, and then they got even more favored. So again, at 182 to 200, the line did move dramatically towards the Rangers. That's an 18-cent juice move. What else? Head-to-head trends. This doesn't really mean much. This goes all the way back to last season, so I'm going to delete that. In current form, the Orioles are a little bit better. They're covering spreads at least. Now, this is just the over-under stuff. I'm not going to look at that. Rangers are projected to win, 75% chance that they're going to win. There's a 67% implied probability that the Rangers are going to win. So not only is the projections saying they're going to win, the implied probability because of the, because of the odds are also saying they're going to win. Now, this one is not that crazy today, but the Rangers not to bat in the ninth, it says minus 130. Okay, so basically what that means is that they're at home, and if they don't bat in the ninth, then that means that they're going to be winning the game. So the books think that the Rangers will be batting in the ninth. However, this is not that heavy. 130 is not that heavy. Usually these lines are a lot higher, like minus 150, minus 180. Sometimes I've seen them, like when the Rockies are at home, they're like minus 400. But either way, it's a good, an extra little indicator that the Rangers will be losing the game. I'm sorry, the Orioles will be losing the game. So now here we go. The Rangers they are projected to get over 8.5 hits, and the Orioles are projected to get under 8.5 hits. So that's a huge difference. That's 2 hits. That's a 2-hit difference. So that's another indication, okay? And then the big major contradiction, just like I see, the Orioles are number 1 OPS, on-base percentage, versus the Rangers. So the projections you can see right there, the projections are that the Rangers will win this game. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to take it straight up. I'm going to pay the juice up. I'm not going to mess around and do a -1 or a -1.5 or none of that because of the OPS. Even though I really believe the pitcher right here can shut them down, and the bullpen should be able to shut them down as well. But because they're hot right now, I'm going to take them money line. So I'm going to take Rangers money line. All right, that's what I'm going to do with that one. Let's keep going. Let's look at the Astros versus the Rockies. So now, if you've been watching any of my videos, we've been making a lot of money going against the Rockies, and today's one of those days. So we'll see if we can do it. They got Gordon over here. Gordon from the Astros, 3.98 compared to Dollander, which is a 6.06. This dude has a lot more strikeouts, but then he's also started about 8 more games than this guy. So overall record is decent for Gordon compared to Dollander, but that's because the team just sucks. Clear edge. There is a clear edge on the ERA, meaning that this dude is a better pitcher just based on ERA. All right, let's keep going. Bullpen is much better. This is very, very good, 2.77. So not only is the starting pitcher good, the bullpen is also very good. You compare that to Dollander, which is 6.06, is actually pretty bad. And then you got the Rockies ERA for the bullpen is also very bad. So the pitching is very bad. The batting is very bad. Actually, let me take a look at this. Batting is horrible. Check this out. They're 28th ranked. 28th ranked, meaning they're the worst batting teams right now compared to the Astros, which is 12th. There's a huge OPS gap, meaning the on-base percentage, okay? Also, the line move did shift it's shifting actually in the wrong direction. I did not see that. Now I'm seeing it. 176 to -160. That's not good. It's actually a reverse move. Let me confirm that. Give me a second. Yeah, it's shifting in the wrong direction, and it's shifting heavily. So I'm going to stay away from this just because the line is shifting in the wrong direction. So what that means is that the Rockies are actually, they're not favored, but the line is shifting in the direction of just like I had mentioned, if you were here yesterday, it's the exact same scenario with the Rays yesterday. So the Astros are favored to win, but their line is dropping in the wrong direction. And that's not a good sign, especially with this much money coming in. 91% of the bets, 98% of the money is coming in on the Astros. So what this is telling me, basically, bottom line, that there's a lot of respected sharp in on the Rockies. Okay, that doesn't mean they're going to win. That just says the line is shifting in the wrong direction. They do have a better. I'm going to stop looking at this, but I have all the data right there. They are projected to win over here. You might want to. I don't know. I'm not going to risk it. There's other games. There's other stuff. I have 9 batter props. I already have the Rangers, which I'm going to go with. I'm gonna skip that game. All right, here we go. The Dodgers versus the White Sox. White Sox are horrible. They're just as bad as the Rockies. So the Rockies are actually the absolute worst, and then the White Sox are right above them. So if it wasn't for the Rockies being this bad, White Sox would be just as bad. Okay, here we go. Yamamoto, 2.61 ERA, 101 strikeouts compared to Smith, 3.38 ERA, 68 strikeouts. So you can see Yamamoto's a much better. The bullpen is horrible right here, 4.08 compared to Dodgers, which is not great, but decent. And then look at this OPS. White Sox are 20th. They're all the way at the bottom 10 compared to the top 3 over here with the Dodgers. And you can see all this red graph right here. What this red graph means that they're hot. Okay, so they're getting a lot of hits. Is the second best home run hitter in the league, besides Judge. So they're getting a lot of hits. They're getting a lot of on-base percentages and stuff like that. They're getting on base for sure. All right, here we go. This one, I have mentioned this before a couple of times, not too much. But once, even though the line, let me put it this way. When I started doing this, I would say for the first year and a half, I would always look at this line move as the North Star. You know what I mean? Like if the line move matched, then everything was good. But sometimes in this case, for example, it says minus 330, and you can see it's actually dropping to a minus 325. So this is a learning experience for you guys. Is what I've learned is that whenever a team is super heavily favored, like right here, minus 330, there's enough money coming in that they're going to take the risk on the other side. So they'll take the risk for the White Sox to somehow pull off a miracle. And they would get them at you can see right here plus 265 or plus 257. So they'll basically triple their money. So they'll take that extra risk to triple their money. And when that happens, when there's enough of that money coming in, the line tends to shift from a 330 to a 325. So you can see it's not a big shift, but it's a small shift, and it's dropping in the other way. But like I said, it's such a heavily favored play that it's not as important as like the Astros, because the Astros is a much less line move. I hope that makes sense, man. I know that's a little if you don't know what I'm saying, I mean, it's a little contradicting, or not contradicting, more like harder to explain, harder to understand if you don't understand line moves. But basically, the line is going in the wrong direction. But it's only 5 cents a juice. It's already heavily favored. So the line is softening, just like it says right here. Okay, 95% of the bets, 96% of the money is coming in on the Dodgers. The line is going the wrong way, just like I mentioned a few times. The ATS is similar against the spread. This is a very big, important one. Not only is the Dodgers third on getting on base, the White Sox are bottom 10. And then whenever the White Sox are on the road, they're only winning 21% of their games. They're losing 79% of the time when they're on the road. Okay, compare that to the Dodgers. Whenever, actually, that's an over, not a play. That's just all right. Win probability says 73% chance the Dodgers will win. Line implied probability is 76%. So everything is matching. Now, this is what I was saying about the ninth inning. So what it's saying is that the Dodgers are not going to bat in ninth, and that's a heavily favored play. So what this means is that the Dodgers should be winning the game. They should not even have to bat in the ninth. That's what this means. All right. Dodgers should be winning by 2. They should be winning by 2 runs. You can see right there, 3.5 compared to 5.6. Consensus, 95% of the money. Everything is coming in towards the Dodgers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what what odds are available for Dodgers. Let me write this down so you guys can see. Give me a second. All right. So this is what I'm going with. So we had the Rangers, and then either I'm going to do Dodgers -1.5 or Dodgers -1, depending on the odds. Now, I will tell you, when I track of all my bets, I keep very detailed tracking. And I will tell you, whenever I go with a -1.5, I tend to lose. So it's especially with the line being shifting in the wrong direction, I might just pay the juice at a -1 and avoid getting them not winning by 2. So I do believe the Dodgers should win this by 2 because of all the indications I just said, especially with the S and all that stuff. So you could take it for what it is. I probably will go with the -1 instead of the -1.5. Okay. Now let's look at the last one here. It's the Cubs. All right, here we go. So the Cubs versus the Guardians. This one came up for me all the way towards the end. I was already kind of done with my initial research, and then this one showed up for me because of something else that I do. But so basically, this is not my original play that I was looking at, and then it popped up. So I'm going to look at this deeply because I have not looked at this as deep as the other ones. Okay. So Boyd is 7-3, 2.65 ERA. Compare that to Williams, 3.68. So they're not too crazy off. They're pretty decent. They're pretty similar. Let's see. Pitching advantage is a very slight advantage. Is not a lot. Then look at the bullpen, 3.75 versus the Cubs, which is that is a bullpen. So the Cubs have a on the starter, but then they have a bigger difference on the bullpen. So the backup, the Cubs are, look how red it is on this graph right here. Compare that to the Guardians. Now the Guardians, they do have sporadically over here. So it's not just the starter, which is where's Kwan? He's not even his list. Oh, he's all the way at the bottom. So Kwan has been struggling. He has been one of their best pitchers like the last 2 years, and he has been struggling a lot. So they moved him to the bottom of the batting order, I believe, because that's what is showing here. But I haven't kept up with him. I haven't seen him come up as one hits and stuff like that. Now, the biggest thing with the Cubs is you can see this huge graph. It's all red right here. Okay, they got Suzuki, Tucker, Swanson, and then this dude, this rookie, which might be the rookie of the year, with Pete Crow Armstrong. Now, all these dudes right here, they're extremely, extremely hot, getting a lot of hits. Okay, compare that to the Guardians, which are 17th. Okay, so the Cubs are number 1, and the Guardians are number 17. So now think about this. Let's start putting it together. The starting pitcher is decent. The backup bullpen is better, and then the OPS is massively different. Number 1 versus 17. Okay, so there's a big difference of 231 points on the OPS gap. Now let's look at the line move. It did shift in the Cubs' direction, 169 to a 174. And the 88% of the money is coming in on the Cubs. And 88% of bets is coming in on the Cubs and on the Cubs. So the line, okay, so let's go right back to this. Starting pitcher, bullpen, better batting, massively better batting, and the line is moving and the line is shifting. Okay, that's already a clear indication. Well, let's take a look here. I'm probably just going to hit this straight up just because, like I said, it didn't show up for me on my original research. I tend to be a little bit more, cautious. So let me just take a deeper look here. 4 and 6. They're decent. They're even. Let's see. The Cubs as favorites are 72%. The win probability is 74%. The line, the -174 line probability, and then the Cubs on the 9th, it's not to bat is -130, just like the Astros was. So I'm not going to explain all that again. The Cubs are projected to win, and everything is saying that they're gonna win. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Cubs right here. All right. So this is what I'm going with the money line on the Rangers. I'm going with the Cubs on the money line, and then I'm going to go with the Dodgers -1.5 or Dodgers -1. And if those are still too expensive, I might just do Dodgers and Cubs together. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not trying to figure that out. I've learned my lesson where I'm trying to figure out like how I'm going to play it exactly on the live, and then I mess up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time. I'm going to figure out exactly where my odds are are favored and stuff like that. Let me show you something. So we do, like I said, we do have news today that are already inside the VIP. So if you haven't checked us out for VIP, go to the link in the description and you're going to get all these batters every day. Also check out the Discord because my business partner puts in those under RBIs, and then there's a lot of other people sharing plays and stuff like that. We don't force things here. We do this very professionally. We have a lot of plays. We stay away from the shitty plays. We do our best to pick the best plays, obviously, and we don't force anything and stuff like that. So the link is in the description. Now, this thing that I just went through, this is called the Sharp Edge. So check that out. That link is in the description as well. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Now, two of those 9 batters, I'm going to give away later today. The guy's working on the video right now. And they're going to be posted inside. I just got an alert. Let's see if he posted it already. No, he hasn't. So once he posts that video, it's going to have 2 batter props in there. Okay. Now, let me just show you the last thing I wanted to talk about, which is this. This is called line shopping. And what I'm doing is I'm going to look through my list. Again, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to tell you exactly how I'm playing it because I don't want to mess up. But basically what I'm doing here is I want to look for the games I'm looking at. Okay. So this is called line shopping. I'm going to go to the Rangers, and I'll explain why this is so important. Every play, every single play I do this for. It takes me an extra, I don't know, minute and a half or so to do this for each game, but it's definitely worth it because let me put it this way. Look at this. I can see that the best line I can get or the best line available is 169 for the Rangers, right? Now, 169 is on Novig, which I don't have any funds in that account right now, and I'm not going to load it up right now because I have funds in other accounts. But if I had funds in that account, then I would go with this line right here because that is the best odds in the market right now. Now, if you don't have access to this book, but you have access to all these other books or whatever. So, for example, right here, I have access to FanDuel, and I have plenty of funds in there. So I'm going to pay a difference of 169 compared to 1778. So that 10-point juice, very important because let's just use an example. If I'm putting in $100, right? For example, if I'm putting in $100, I'm making 70 back because of odds. But then you don't even look at this stuff. You're putting in the same 100 and you're only making $50. Just because you didn't do your line shopping, I'm making more money than you for the same exact play. So it's definitely worth your time and investment to look at the best odds. Now, this is not the only show in town that offers this stuff. There's Odds Jam, Covers, VSiN. There's different ones. But always do your line shop and pick your best odds for the same play. I mean, we've already done the research. We've already looked at all this stuff. So might as well take that extra minute to pick the best odds. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So let's see. All right. So the last thing, like I said, if you haven't done so, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. If you're on any other network, go to Beast Sports Picks on YouTube, subscribe there. Get the free picks. Link is in the description. Check out the VIP stuff. Also check out the Discord. And then if you really want to get ahead, get on the tools that we use. It's under Sharp Edge. Now, the tools that we use for props, it's called Outlier. But there is a lot of little ins and outs that I don't really show just yet. But then the tool that I just showed you that I went through all the games, if you want that data every day, it's called the Sharp Edge. All right, guys. So that's about it, man. That's all I had. Let me go right back and tell you what I went with. I'm going to go with the Rangers. I'm going to figure out what's up with the odds with the Dodgers -1.5 or -1. I might just take the -1.5 and take the risk. And then I like the Cubs money line. And like I said, I have 9 batter props. I put some of them together. Some of them I didn't. And then they're all in VIP. And then I'm going to hook you guys up with 2 batter props. But that's going to be inside the YouTube show. Make sure you subscribe if you're on Instagram or whatever. Make sure you subscribe. We post them on Instagram, X, and YouTube Shorts. All right, guys. Thank you so much, man. Let's have another great day. It was a perfect 5-0 day yesterday. And that's about it, man. Let's have a good day. Thank you so much.